It's Ted Prodromo. It's Tuesdays with Ted, special Thursday edition.
2 days late, Ted.
But better late than never, right?
You bet. Why not?
Today we're here with Gary Wilkin, and we've known each other for a few years now. We met somewhere on the LinkedIn or the internet or somewhere.
Yeah.
How did we meet? Do you remember how we got connected?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and yeah, I think it came from. I got a hold of your book and read a little bit and reached out, and we kind of, we followed your process. We established a relationship. We had some messages. No, it wasn't buy my stuff. It was like, tell me something I couldn't know about you on your profile. And we just started interacting there and found that we had a lot of things in common, and we just enjoyed each other's company. And I think that's how it is. So
Yeah, and you just retired a couple of years ago, right?
yeah, actually, it was. I keep looking over my calendar's over there. It's like it was May of 2019. You know, for a long time I had the big date, but yeah, it was May of 2019, and it was quite the event. I think it actually. I laugh. I wrote so. We are going to talk about my book a little bit. I'll hold it up here as a shameless plug. But um, the it was a snowy morning in November of 2018, and we're living up in Minneapolis area, and I was facilitating an early meeting downtown, so I had to drive rather than take public transportation. But it snowed like 5 or 6 inches um, the night before, late, and so the snowplows hadn't really gotten everything done, so I had to leave early. So I was out like at 4:15, 4:30, scooping the driveway so I could get out. I come back in, and I'm looking myself at 4:30 in the morning, which in and of itself is not a pretty sight. And, and I looked at myself and I said, "You sure you want to do this?" And it wasn't, do you want to drive? Of course, I didn't really want to drive, and this was pre-Zoom day, so I had to be there. But it was, do I want to keep doing what I'm doing in my profession? And the good part is I had a 40-year career. I had worked with some great people, did some cool technology, uh, dealt with punch cards back in the 70s, but a lot of great things. But I'd kind of let things drift into this, mechanical, uh, uninspired activity, and kind of I could keep doing, I could keep going, but at that moment, I said, no, I
Right.
don't want to do that. Right. And I think that's good. We have to question ourselves every once in a while. And so that was kind of finally I said it out loud, and then I started thinking about it, working on it, figuring out what does that mean. And so between November of 2018 and May of 2019, we bought a house in Arizona. We sold the house in Minnesota. We downsized by about half. I turned in my retirement papers. We got all the stuff, done, and then wake up one morning and I live in Arizona and I'm retired. and
Yeah. And now what do I do?
yeah, and so and that's the good news, is that was mostly a blur. So I think there's merciful amnesia there. but you're right. So even starting back in November, I said I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm driving downtown. I go, well, that's all well and good, but what's next? What do you do? And so that's when I started to start figuring out how to figure out what's next. And of course, I was an IT geek for 40 years, and so I flowcharted it. Started doing research, and did my mind maps and did my flowcharts, and started working with folks and reading and getting some coaching and some mentoring, and uh, just started to figure out that fundamentally, it's, we keep thinking, when I retire, I have no clue what I'm going to do. Well, we know more than we think because it's still us. I mean, I'm still me, and although I'm going to have a different allotment of time now, I've got more free time during the day. I get to choose what that is, and what am I going to do? And so it, I came up with a real simple 3-point plan: is that make a choice, dream big, and take action. And that kind of formulated the approach because I'm a big Zig Ziglar fan and Ziglar coach, and one of my favorite quotes that really helped get me going was Zig said, "Hope is born when you understand this. You have the power to make things better or worse, and the choice is yours." And so the thing is that everything starts with a choice. I said and that's really what that 4:30 decision was. Is I'm choosing to do something different,
Mm-hmm.
and then the challenge became, so what is it that I want that to be? And that's where the dream big is. And so I started off, and I think I did Facebook for a while. and, and I found out that although I was very, very good at coding in 70s, 80s, and 90s, I didn't really want to do that anymore. so,
And there, done that.
so I viewed it as a
Yeah, why does dream big? That should be first.
well, okay. So Barry, I think the dream big doesn't come first until you're committed to saying, I'm going to make a change. And because if you dream big and then you don't take action on it, it becomes just this daydream that ends up being more frustrating than anything. Because it's, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that, but without any commitment to do something, a dream is no good.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think the other thing is that we get confused about how long is this choice? How long is this decision? Because according to all the numbers guys, the actuary tables, if you're 66 like me, I've got about 20, 22, 23 years left on this earth, which, think about it, that's since Y2K to today. And so think back to where you were in Y2K and where you are today, and then add that. And so many times we get this deer in the headlights feeling of, I've got to make this one decision for what I'm going to do the rest of my life. Well, that doesn't work. It didn't work in high school either. I mean, when we were, remember when you were senior in high school and all the family friends, so what are you going to do with your life? And they were like, I'm going to go to college for a year and change my major 17 times, and so when we get to this point, we have to remember that it's called contextual purpose. It's what do I want to do, and we can put a time frame on it, and it varies. What do you want to do for the next 1, 2, or 3 years, and really explore it, have some fun with it, and if you get there partway there, you say this just isn't right, change. But and so we don't allow this excuse of saying I've got to make a decision for what I'm going to do for the next 20 years. What am I going to do for a little while?
Right. Yeah. My son was home for Thanksgiving, and he was talking about his goals. He was, what are your goals for next year? I'm like, gosh, don't even think about on those terms anymore at this stage of my career. But he's got all these goals lined up, what he wants to accomplish next year. Yeah. So you're dreaming big. It's not like I'm going to start a new company, a 7-figure business, and have hundreds of employees. The dreaming big is more about staying active and engaged in retirement for me. Yeah. And you're right. It's and dreaming big is dreaming big to fulfill what you want to become.
And like you say, and I I wrote a book, and I'd written a book earlier, a couple of few years back, and I wanted to write this one, and that was my big dream for a while, to get this book written, and because I enjoyed it, and I wanted some people to be able to read it and understand that you can do this, and it doesn't have to be complex and convoluted. Again, it's fundamentally, you got to make a choice, got to figure out what it is you want to be, and then kind of broke down some of the ways that you could actually take action. But that was my first choice, and now I want to help others understand how that applies to them. And my story is not your story, and as incredibly interesting as I am, um, you're not going to want to follow my footsteps. And but
Mhm.
it's the idea of what are the principles. That's what I said, is that you have to make a choice. This is worth the effort, and then start thinking about what's unique about me. What are some things that I have to offer? What are some things I want to learn? And then why do I want to do that? Um, because once we have a really good why, then we have the momentum to go through speed bumps that will inevitably come up. And then how do we implement that? And it kind of comes down to New Year's resolution thinking versus incremental thinking. And we've all tried the New Year's resolution. Like, I'm gonna lose 25 pounds in 3 days, and I'm gonna work out 28 hours a day, and I'm gonna do all these wonderful things. Or
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
going to save the world.
yeah, yeah, world peace and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but yeah, I think the thing that becomes is this is behavior change, behavior design, and it really starts with, again, uh, making a choice. And the hidden gem in that quote from Zig is that hope is born when you understand this, and hope is the key, um, because we can live for a long time without food, a little bit less time without water, but we just don't last very long if we don't have hope.
Mhm.
And so once we understand that choice and that decision is hope, that gives us the ability to continue to push forward, to see that there's value in what we want to become, and that gives us the kind of rocket fuel for transformation.
Yeah, one thing you said to me a while back was about when you retire and then all of a sudden you have nothing to do, there's a big psychological and emotional shift you have to make to feel like you still have purpose in life.
Yeah, and that kind of goes down to what's some of the things we lose when we leave our career. Um, is our identity, our competency, and our social circle. So, when you think about it, when you're in corporate, if someone says, "Well, what do you do for a living?" Typically, we give them our job title.
Hmm.
And, and now that you're retired, I'm retired doesn't feel as satisfying to say that, right? And
Right.
and then our competency is like, I could fill out budget requests and cost benefit analysis, the best of them, but out here down at the ping pong club, nobody really cares. Right?
Pickleball now.
Yeah, pickleball, yeah, and the new up and coming. I think you saw pro pickleball, but and then the social circle. That's probably the one thing that catches a lot of people off guard, is that whether or not we thought that we had a lot of friends, or whether we did or not at work, they were still around.
Yeah.
And then when you exit that, or sometimes we move, like I did, we moved, and so we were in a totally different environment. Your social circle changes, and I think we were talking about, how I can't remember the stats, and I apologize, I should have them, but as we get older, we quit um, adding new friends, and sometimes we start cutting them out. And so one of the things that a lot of people that I work with say, it's much more lonely than I thought it was going to be. And so we have to really take into account, how do we purposefully get around people
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm going to go this place and I'm going to find a friend.
Right.
you know, you know, I'm going to go there and be friendly and just see who pops up. But we have to continually put ourselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's interesting because I try to look up people I worked with years ago, even for like 9 or 10 years we worked together, and I cannot find them anywhere on the internet, on social media or LinkedIn. It's like, where'd these people go?
yeah. So what kind of things have you found, just from this perspective, how are you finding people? Has the last couple of years really cramped your style as far as meeting new people? How's that?
Oh yeah, because I don't belong to a country club. I don't golf. I'm starting to golf a little bit, but not like in the traditional country club fashion.
Yeah.
And a lot of friends have passed away recently. So I kind of like figure, okay, where am I going to meet people? And it was always interacted with our kids' parents, their friends' parents.
Yeah.
So that social circle is people are moving all over places, retiring different places.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, I remember meeting all sorts of people watching, our kids play sports, whether football or soccer or whatever. Everything's on the sideline, but they're gone. And, we're gone.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. But
Do you want to share your little chart?
let's talk about let's share this. So again, that one quote really has affected how I think about things. And so, the power of choice framework, this really is, whether this is retirement focused or just transition focused, we have this really helps understand what kind of decisions, what kind of things we do affects how we live and where we spend the most of our time. And the horizontal axis is activity. We can do a little bit or we can do a lot. And then the vertical axis is that we're purpose, it's just kind of random acts of whatever or more focused. And when we go, sometimes we drop out of let's see, we can drop into this low activity, low purpose quadrant, and low activity, low hope. We end up getting bored. There's dissatisfaction. This is what I call the R&R quadrant.
That's when you start watching daytime TV.
Say what?
That's when you start watching daytime TV.
Yeah. When you know all the daytime TV time slots, you're in trouble. And so this is that vicious cycle, because once you get into this low activity, low hope mode, it's like maybe I can get the neighborhood kid to pick up my mail. That's the extreme. And so we do that, and so maybe you wake up and say, okay, I need to do something, and so we can jump over and start doing a bunch of stuff, and we're really active. So this is the golfing, 5 times a week, or pickleball or whatever, and just doing things. And it's kind of in this forever vacation mode. And I want to do this for fun. It's on now, and whatever feels good. And you can do that for a while. It feels good, but then you end up saying, "Is this all there is?" And so and eventually you'll burn out, or because you can't golf forever. I've actually talked to people that confirm that fact. They say that I golfed and golfed and golfed, and I finally got tired of it, and I threw away the clubs. And so the alternative now is to kind of go back to our home base and think about adding some more purpose. And this is where I think Barry, why doesn't dream big first? This is why, because this is the dream big quadrant, where we got big dreams, but we haven't made a decision to take action. And so we get excited about, oh, I could do this, I could do that, but then it starts coming back to, well, I didn't do anything about it. And then I guess I dream big. Well, I did that in the past, and we start reliving our past. And then it turns into, I could have been all those things. And so it's good and it's important to have purpose, but where we really want to get to is when we take some of those dreams and we add a little bit of purposeful action. And that's where we become a little more focused, a little more intentional. Um, this structure with spontaneity, I spent a little time talking about that. Um, we often get out of corporate and we want to blow up our Microsoft Office schedule because we look at that thing and it's got 20, 30, 40 meetings or 40 hours of meeting time, and we say, forget that, I'm never going to do it. But you can't live up purposeful activity with no structure. But what I really support is having a morning routine that allows you first part of the day to engage your mind, open your heart, and move your body, and get something going there, and then the rest of your day is open, and you can either do some structured things based on what you're thinking about, or you have room to run out. Buddy calls up, so let's play some pickleball. We can go, whatever. But that morning time is those golden hours where you can really take some time to think about what you want to do, be grateful for where you are, do a little exercise, a little body movement, and then the rest of the day is free. And that's a real key point. The other thing that happens in this purposeful area is the idea of the progression of success, which we're successful. I mean, we've survived our career for 30, 40 years. We've had a definition of success. But then if that's all you do and you're wrapped up in yourself, there's not much, eventually the joy runs out of that.
Yeah.
And so the significance now is now, how can I help other people experience success? How can I mentor them? And that there's joy there because I'm helping someone else. And then the legacy aspect is how can I help them help others? And so we have this repeating process of building that legacy. And so, like, a few years from now, this couple guys are talking and says, yeah, this one guy I was talking to worked with Gary a few years back, and he talked about this, and it really works. That's legacy, when we can have an impact on people that we haven't even met. And that's where this meaningful and rewarding life comes up. And that's when we intentionally move up to this purposeful quadrant. That's when we can call these the best years of our life.
And that can be just an hour or two a day, right? It doesn't have to be a full-time job or running a company.
No, and that's the thing is, like, if your goal is to have a good morning routine, and you have some, like I said, you do some reading, you do some devotionals and prayer, you write a journal, you exercise, get on your Peloton or whatever. The morning gives you that clarity, and then you can do whatever you want, and you have the freedom to explore. Maybe I want to go read more about this book, or maybe I use that book to go tell somebody else about it, that type of thing. And so you're right. It doesn't have to be a 40-hour week to be purposeful, but it has to have a little bit of structure.
It's maybe volunteering, like my wife joined a local chorus here. For fun.
And what has she enjoyed out of that?
She really loves to sing, and she really wanted to meet more people. So she's meeting a lot of people her age, and they get together once a week and they sing, and then they do a couple concerts a year, local concerts. So it's just another social circle.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of us get energy from being around other people. I know some people are more introverted and it's a little tougher, but there's still energy to be found by being around and serving and helping other people.
And there's some structure to it because they meet on a regular basis and they have a purpose of, okay, we're going to do a Christmas concert next week. So they've been working towards that for the last couple months. I think they do 3 or 4 concerts a year.
Okay.
There's structure to it, and it's fun.
Yeah. And that, and why not? You know,
Yeah.
um, the other thing to remember about this framework though is that it isn't a one and done. You don't get to purposeful and automatically stay there. You may bounce back and forth. You may go over to uh, unfulfilled and kind of like not taking action, or you may drop down and just be really really busy but not really doing anything.
Mhm.
But the key is what are the small habits, small choices that I can continue to remind myself to do that keeps pushing me up into that purposeful quadrant. So there's going to be some times, I had shoulder surgery last year and I couldn't do much. And so I spent a lot of time in the remote in the recliner with the remote. And uh, I could read for a while, but boy, when you're on meds, you can read the same paragraph 20 times,
Yeah. So you're back in the uninspired for a while there.
Yeah, like, whoa. And so, but and things are going to come and go. But if you're aware of what's going on, if you're cognizant of what's going on, if you're spending a lot of activity, but you're not feeling like there's much happening, you might be in the aimless area. And you need to say, how can I add some purpose and focus to this? Or you're not doing much, but I'm going to get really focused. But now I need to start taking some action. So this is just kind of a good template guide to help understand where you are and what you're doing.
So what are some of the activities that put you in the purposeful category?
Well, I think my morning routine is really, it actually starts the night before. Um, my wife and I write down 3 things that we're grateful for that day. And then I think of 3 things that I want to try to accomplish the next day, and that gets me set up for the next morning. And then the next morning I get up and I have a time of devotions and journaling, and then I do some reading, and then I'll do some. Typically, I'll do a little short exercise right then, and I may do exercise later. But that allows me to think about life, think about what I want to do, and if there's activities that I want to accomplish that day, I'll list out 2 or 3, never more than 3, and start thinking about how I'm going to attack those. I'll go have quick breakfast, and I'll come back and I'll get started on my number 1 task. And just that focus allows me to really get a lot of done. And then by mid-afternoon or even late morning, we break for lunch, and I look at my list. I've got everything I've done that I wanted to get done. I can say, well, let's go shopping, or let's go for a walk, or whatever. And so it gives me the flexibility to feel like at the end of the day, I did something on purpose. We thought about some things. Maybe we stopped by and made someone smile. Even when you're going to the grocery store, just smile at somebody. It's amazing what happens.
Yeah.
It
is.
And so that's the kind of stuff I do, and then get on the phone and chat with somebody, or go from there.
So that gives you your structure and gives you purpose, and then you coach people. You have helping people out through this retirement thing.
Yeah, this retirement thingy, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting closeout or thought process, is that we all want to try to come up with a different word, like the second half, third act, or whatever. And I've just decided to own retirement. It's retirement, but it's not my dad's retirement.
Right.
Retirement means many different things, and I can be retired but still working. I can be retired but still serving others. I can be retired and playing a lot of pickleball, but it's however I define it. And as long as there's elements of how can I stay focused, find ways to help people, and keep moving, that's kind of where I focus.
Yeah, if you stay mentally focused and physically active, you have a better retirement.
Yeah, we don't want to get into the old actuary tables. Yeah, but that bottom left quadrant is not a good place to
go. So you can be reached at myretirementmission.com.
Yep. And if you go over to myretirementmission.com/book, or look at the book hub. I can't remember the exact name I got up on there. It gives you a place where you can uh, get a hold of my book, a little short video about how it started, and then how to contact me, and have a chat, whatever. Also here on LinkedIn, reach out, connect, follow. If you follow, click the little bell underneath my profile picture, and I try to post at least once a week, and so that's it. So
Cool. Well, Gary, thanks a lot. I've learned so much from you. I'm not even retired yet, but you're helping me kind of mentally get ready for it.
yeah, and that's the key. Don't wait till the Monday after you leave to say, "Oh crap, now what do I do?"
Yeah, exactly. Well, great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.